Hey everyone, it's PL Stewart here. It is Sunday afternoon for me, so good day, good morning, good afternoon, etc., wherever you are. Um, I am here to do a quick review of a book that has been on my shelf for some time. So you may not be aware, I've definitely bought into the trend among a lot of booktubers of read your shelves. I'm really trying hard to read all those books that are on my bookshelves that I have not read, that have been there for a long time, that as opposed to constantly going out and adding to the book inventory and buying more books, I'm trying to read what's on my shelves. And it's been fantastic. I've gotten some of these books that are so worthwhile. I bought them for a reason, and now I'm finally reading them, and it feels great. So one of those books that had been on my shelf for some time, I meant to get to it. It was tantalizing, like calling me from that corner of the shelf, was The Winter Road by Adrian Selby. And this was a book that I believe was first recommended to me by, I think it was probably Steve Talks Books, the wonderful Steve Talks Books, the king of all things page chewing. Check out, of course, Page Chewing Forum. It is incredible. And of course, I'm very honored with my partner from Page Chewing, Taylor from Made Between the Pages. Very honored to be doing the Page Chewing interview series on YouTube with Taylor. So, but yeah, I think Steve was the one that recommended me this book, and it is really something that I really think this is a worthwhile book if you like Grimdark specifically. So this book, Agent Selby is a pretty well-known Grimdark author. I'm not sure if his prominence, uh, perhaps, perhaps now with the proliferation of all these amazing Grimdark books, perhaps he's not as well known as he was in the past. He might be. It's hard to gauge these things, but fantastic book. And this is a book that made me rethink, which is rare, rethink my rating. I'd originally rated this a 4-star, like a 4.25-ish. But and I know ratings, okay, we all know that ratings are controversial, but I had rated this a 4.25 out of 5 stars. But I kept thinking about the book, and I actually went back and changed my rating and gave it a 5. Because when I really sat down and thought about it a bit more, it was really that good, right? The payoff here, the emotional payoff, it really it did hit home. And I think this book may feel a bit disorienting perhaps in the beginning, but I definitely think that it's worth it. Like, it's worth the investment, right? Once you adjust to the writing style, I think it's really is a great book when I think about it. So what's it about? So it's essentially a standalone novel. It takes place in this pretty bleak world. It's like this. It's hemmed in by, like, it's boxed in by seas and mountains, and you have these clans, very honor bound traditional clans. Then the protagonist is the daughter of one of these clans, and she's she's a veteran soldier, and she's also a trader, and someone who wants to make a difference. She wants to leave this legacy of having changed things positively, right? So what she wants to do is essentially create this trading route. So she wants to drive, basically, she wants to build a road, like in the middle of nowhere, in the wilderness, and she wants to have this road as a trading route, right? That will really improve the lives of the people, of the tribes and the people. But it's not an easy thing that she does, right? It's very difficult, as a matter of fact, and it's something that comes at a great cost. So this ex-soldier, who she encounters friends in her endeavors to do this, a lot of enemies, but essentially the journey is what we're focusing on, and it is memorable, right? So this character, Terry, she's Tier, sorry, not Terry. I should pronounce it properly. Tier. It's T-E-Y-R. Tier Amundsen. So Tyr Amundsen. So this character, she goes through a real journey. She's not the perfect leader, but yet she does have a lot of leadership skills. She is a mother and a wife, and she's also very ambitious, but she's tough, and she's a great fighter. Now, one thing I will note about the fight characteristics and aspects of this novel, and the fight system, and essentially the magic system, is that you have these very similar to like The Witcher. For those of you who have watched or read The Witcher, you have these chemical enhancements that make the fighters better and stronger and more capable, which is really a cool. I think it's a cool magic system. These drugs that are mixed, these potions that are mixed to enhance the fighting capabilities, but there's a cost to this, and it's called in the book "Pay the Color." When you suffer the after effects of these concoctions that you take to enhance your fighting skills. So it's really quite interesting. These brews, they're plant based. So it's, besides enhancing your fighting abilities, they can also be used for like healing and antidotes for poisons and things like that. So really fascinating with that stuff. Again, will remind a lot of people of The Witcher. But there's some really brilliant and stunningly brutal fight scenes in this, really gut punching emotional moments. The action it's bloody. There's a lot of the character undergoes this journey where it's difficult to determine who are your friends, who are your foes. And part of what she also experiences is learning to appreciate the other side, seeing the good in your enemies and the issues with your friends, and what that means, and the issues in yourself. So it was really, really, really poignant, and there was just a lot of tragedy in here. There's sacrifice, but there's a lot of great themes. Wanting to create your legacy, because that's part of what she's doing by wanting to build this road that the world is. Part of it is tackling her own legacy. Aging is one of the themes there. And love. Because she is a wife and she's a mother and she deeply loves. Her ambition sometimes gets in the way of her family, I think. One would argue, and she's kind of like married to the job, but she does have a lot of good qualities. But this book was really well done. I think, like all good grimdark novels, there's that balance of darkness and light, that you'll have here, but very gritty, very dark. It starts out with a bang. I can tell you that much. And the fight scenes are quite spectacular, quite brutal, quite bloody, and will make you feel, for sure. There's a lot of emotional heft to this. So again, this is a really dark, gritty book. I think I talked about revisiting my rating. Initially, I think the way it's written, again, it may seem a bit discombobulated. A lot of the parts of it are in this epistolary style, like letter writing, so that you get an insight into the characters and what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what's happened. There's these kind of non-linear dual timeline things going on. So for some people who like the more linear timeline, that may throw you off a bit. But again, I definitely think it's worth it. It's really a good book. It is a really good book, and I did enjoy it. Hey, good afternoon, Nerd Hermit. Adi, thanks so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. Great to see you. Thanks for joining this quick, spontaneous live review. Nerd Hermit 80. If you haven't read this, maybe something you want to think about picking up, The Winter Road by ADRIAN SELBY. Really good grimdark novel if you think that's your bag. But so that's my quick review. It is, again, quite an interesting, gritty, compelling book. I think the ex-soldier vibe with this main character, Tyr. It helps make her really compelling and grounded. Um, I think she's a very memorable character, very memorable. And there's a now one thing I will add as well. This book has a lot of very unique and original like slangs and common words and colloquialism, things like that. And it's not too off-putting, I found. And a bit of a you may have to catch up and kind of to understand it a bit and do a bit more reading, deeper reading to basically comprehend and make it feel like it's part of the actual writing. But again, I think it was well done, and I think once you get used to it, you will really find a lot to enjoy here. So, yeah, that's my quick review of The Winter Road. Again, grimdark, extraordinary, very dark. Be warned. I don't believe it has trigger warnings in the book, but your typical trigger warnings from Grimdark with the violence, the abuse, and kids are not spared from bad things happening in this book, for example. So definitely something that you need to be aware of. So again, Agent Selby, I will read more from this author. I think it was very well done, very dark, and impressed by this Grimdark book that I should have read a long time ago, but glad I finally got to it. So thanks to Nerd Hermit 80 for stopping by, and anybody who is watching now but not commenting, anyone who's going to watch this on the replay. Once again, my quick review of The Winter Road by Agent Selby. Great Grimdark book that I think is worth your time. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye now.